All right, guys, it's been a while since I've done a video. Been busy, been on vacation. We actually took the trailer out to the beach this week, just got back yesterday. The video today is going to be a little bit of a subscriber update, and I'm going to be replacing the tires on Scotty over here. I've got 4 brand new tires right there. I was not planning on doing that, but I had just gotten this thing to where I was like, okay, it's good to go. Like, I've put new belts on it, changed the hydrostatic fluid, you know, all the things. Like, I was like, okay, it's good. There's at least 3 inner tubes in these tires, maybe all 4, but I think like maybe this one didn't have one. But I just looked right before I went on vacation and I saw this tire, which I just put the inner tube in not that long ago, has gone flat. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and splurge and buy 4 new tires. And I did get, front tires are, you know, whatever, Chinese, I'm sure. The rear are actual Carlisle, which is not actually what is on that right now, but pretty much every other tractor I've ever seen, the original tires are these Carlisle Turf Savers. These were the same price as the Chinese ones. They were on sale. Whatever. I'll put the prices in the, you know, it'll pop up right now, basically, what I paid for the rear and for the front. This is a 99 SCOTTS S2048, in case anybody forgets. I bought this last year. Actually bought this along with a 2348, exactly the same tractor, except that it the engine was different. Yeah, it's a 20 horsepower versus 23 horsepower. They both are Kohler Command V-twins, and this is made by John Deere. Really good heavy-duty tractor. It's based on a John Deere 200 series from this, actually from the early 90s. This is they made these from 99 to 2000. What it's based on, as far as like the frame, the mower deck, like the fender, probably a few other little parts like the dash and you can tell like the parking brake. There's a lot of little things that are very similar. The guts of it are the same as like a GT265 from like about 10 years prior to when this was made, and it's a tank. Like when I had the mower deck off, like everything is just built like the best I've ever seen. Any of the tractors that I've flipped or worked on in the past 2 years. So I'm keeping this one. I'm going to make it nice, make it reliable. But yeah, it's got the 20 horsepower Kohler twin, V-twin. Engine runs perfectly. It's been running great. The hydrostatic is really strong. It's a really strong tractor. It's really solid. Like, I mean, it doesn't, like, it's sturdy. John Deere is just about to the point where I can say that it's like done. It needs a seat still. That's probably the only thing that I haven't done yet, is the seat, because it's purely cosmetic. I did actually just splurge and spent about 30 bucks for some new decals. I put these back on and I bought new ones for here. This one is a 22 horsepower Briggs & Stratton V-twin, and basically, you know, it's good to go. I still have to put a voltage regulator on this. The battery will die periodically, and from what the research I've done is that evidently the voltage regulators can have like a parasitic draw on the battery. Other than just kind of rebuilding the front bushings and putting new caps on all the way around, and a seat, like this one's pretty much been totally rebuilt, way more than it was probably worth. I don't even know how much I've spent on this thing at this point. It's still way less than buying a new one, but the 100 series John Deere's from about 2000 on are really kind of junk. They're really nothing special about them. Speaking of that, I kind of have to have the little area over here as a junkyard, because it's just what I'm doing. I've sold 8 riding mowers and or lawn mowers this year. 7 of them were riding mowers. One of them was the 33-inch Craftsman made by MTD walk behind that I just did a couple videos on that. It's been going pretty good. It definitely helps pay for some extras around the house, just things that, you know, I mean, the times that we're living in right now are tough. We all have to make our own way, you know. This is the exact same tractor as the one I just showed you, except this is 1 year older, and it is the L120. But it was the same thing. It just is 1 year. It's 2005. That's 2006. This runs and mows. This was a kind of a trade-in, if you will. I mean, I sold a Craftsman to a really nice couple, and they mentioned they had a John Deere they were going to just take to the dump, and asked me if, you know, I wanted it. I said, yeah, sure, if you're going to give it to me, I'll take it. As you can see, the mower deck is all rotted out. I've already taken parts. I took the deflector off. I took the front bumper off and put that, I painted it green. It was black. Put that on mine. The seat is a little bit better, but probably not really worth switching. This actually only has 272 hours, so this still has a good hydrostatic. It does not charge the battery. That was the main reason they gave up on it, and it's kind of weird because the guy that I got it from was actually a mechanic, but I guess he just doesn't really want to do more than he has to. But this has got a good V-twin, it's got a good hydrostatic, and a whole bunch of extra parts. All the tires have been holding air. I mean, it works. I cut the whole back half of my lawn with it when I first got it to make sure that the hydrostatic was good before I just started like taking it, you know, all apart if that's what I was going to do. So I'm not really sure what to do with this yet. If I can find a good 48-inch deck for this, I probably will save this whole machine, because the rest of it is just, you know, typical cheap-ass John Deere of this vintage paint flaking off. This right here, this is a, you know, bargain basement John Deere from the same time frame as the SCOTTS. And the paint, as you can see, is not flaking off of this one at all, like anywhere. Like, it is perfect. And, you know, there's no reason for this one, and the SCOTTS too. The SCOTTS and this were all from like right around 99, 2001, something like that. But when they switched to this, you know, I'm not sure what they did, what John Deere started doing to cut costs in the early 2000s. But the machines got a lot junkier. And I mean, I repainted, I took the whole thing apart and repainted the whole fender on mine. I'm not doing that on this. I'll probably just scrape it off the best I can and hit it with some paint, touch it up if I end up saving this. But I'm gonna let it just sit here because I don't have anything in it. I got it for free. So it's gonna sit here, and if I end up needing parts off of it, I'm gonna take the parts. This one, I paid $50 for this little guy right here. This is already more than paid for itself. I reused the original engine that was on this. This was a blown up Briggs. You can see it's got some block ventilation right there, and I think on this side too. Maybe not on this side. But this was on a much newer Craftsman. Which model? It was a decent one. It was like a 46-inch with a hydrostatic, but they, you know, ran a little bit low on oil, blew up. That engine's just sitting on there. But I took the engine. I paid $50 for this. Took the engine off. That alone made it worth what I paid for it. I have since come over here and used the seat off of it for another one, because the seat had no cushion at all. So some cushion is better than no cushion. Use the seat. I think I used the throttle cable or something. A cable came off of this, which would have been at least $20 if I had to buy it. So if you can have some parts machines sitting around, it really helps. Odds and ends stuff like clips and little stupid stuff like that. You come over here and you know, a headlight harness. I mean, just you know, I think I use that over here too for a different one. Little things that'll nickel and dime you if you don't have it. I'm going to try to keep it a little bit organized over here. I want to try to keep like tarps down so the weeds don't just keep growing up through everything, but then I still push this one all the way back. I actually drove this one over here. Let's see. Yeah, that's the mower deck off of this. There's some good pulleys on there. I think at least one of the spindles is okay. Still have not started the manual swap, but I'm going to try to get this thing, I'm going to push this into the garage so I can take the parts off of this that I need, because I'm tired of just like having excuses of not doing it. It's really gross in there. This window's been down for like a year and a half. Doesn't actually smell that bad though, surprisingly enough. But I mean, I don't need anything from the interior. You know, I saved a couple of things, but E90's doing pretty good. This is at 257,000, I think now. I have done a few things to this. This was originally an $800 car that I bought from a friend of mine, and I had worked on it off and on for a few years, probably like 7 or 8 years. I don't know, something like that. This thing needs brakes. The brakes are really bad. I have put the upgraded wheels on it, and I have since bought 2 new front tires for it. I have replaced the valve cover on this, and it was leaking, but it was also due to like a rough idle. It was making like a whistling sound. Evidently the baffles will break off of the valve covers on the N52s, so it got a new one of those. It has gotten a new Vanos solenoid. One of those kept tripping a check engine light. I swapped the two from intake to exhaust, and the code followed to the whichever one I swapped it to, so I knew it was the solenoid. That's been in there for several thousand miles and has been fine. E36 is doing okay. The automatic is definitely on its last legs, which of course, you know, it's probably what it's going to take for me to actually do this, because it's like it still runs and drives. I just drove it just now. The automatic will almost, if I drive it to work and back, which is like 90 miles round trip, it will screw up at least once. It'll like go into neutral, like it'll do like a 1-2 shift, and then it'll just like go into neutral. All I have to do is pop it into actual neutral and back into drive, and it's fine. So it's not, it's just a minor inconvenience, but it needs to be done for actual reasons, and also just for the fact that I want it to be done. We did the coilovers and the brake conversion that I got off of the parts car, so I've at least already gotten my money's worth out of this parts car just in brakes and suspension. All I did with the brakes on this was I actually resurfaced those front rotors, which, yes, you can do that. They are drilled and slotted, but you can, if you just go slow. I mean, I know a lot of you guys are not really working in shops where you can do this. I'm sure no actual shop would do it for you. You have to kind of, be in the business to be able to do this. But I did resurface these front rotors. Brakes are perfect. Like, they work great. No issues, no, droopy, soft pedal or anything, anything at all. Just put bigger brakes on, bigger calipers, everything. Everything from that car came over here, and then I just kind of threw the old ones back on there so I could just put it together. And the coilovers and all that's been great. So this is a running and driving car. My wife drives it occasionally. If she has no gas in her car, she'll drive this for a while, and she likes it. Tundra is fine. I think that I'm gonna have to actually weld my exhaust. I did do a repair on this a while back. There was a video on that. It has not held, unfortunately. It's still there. Still is, like, up on it, but if I move this, you can see it's just kind of slipped over it. So I'm gonna actually have to weld that. I have purchased a welder. One of the mowers that I flipped had a cracked deck like mounting bracket, so I have purchased a Harbor Freight titanium Flux 125 right there, and I've used it. I'll put a picture in of my first weld, and I think it was just fine. I figured, you know, I paid about, with the helmet and a couple, you know, a couple accessories, I paid under 300 bucks for that, and the amount of money difference that I could have sold that tractor for without fixing it, and with fixing it pretty much paid for it. So I just bit the bullet and bought the welder. I've been talking about doing that for years, and so at least have something. I think that's about where we're at as far as just kind of getting everybody up to speed. Yeah, we did use this. I did put some Toyota off-road, TRD off-road, I'm sorry, on there just because I'm a nerd. Driving, this did just fine for the trip. About an hour into our drive back home, I looked in the mirror and I saw this whole side was blown out. Fortunately, I did not lose any of the siding, because I know now that it's pretty hard to get pieces of siding for these things. There's nobody local to me that does it, and to ship this stuff, because it comes in like really long lengths, is crazy expensive. So at least, like, I don't care, like, you know, I don't care if it's a little bit mangled up. This thing at this point is just for practicality. I will make it look as decent as I can and no more. I was able to, fortunately, I was smart enough to bring a bunch of tools with me, some screws and a bunch of duct tape. I actually bought this tape to repair tractor seats that, you know, are a little ripped, which it works good for that. This is just Gorilla tape, but it did the job. Another 2 hours home and going across the Bay Bridge. I was able to push it all back in, and I think there's no wood left. The frame is gone on the inside of that, so I'm gonna have to put something in there that I can actually screw the siding to. But what I did was I got it all pushed back into place, and I ran 2 screws into the trim that's here and ran it all the way through to where it would go through and be on the outside of this, so this couldn't push out. So I just did that in like 2 or 3 places, and then just taped the hell out of it, and it never moved. So it did its job on the rest of the way home. Did not leak while we were there. There were no leaks. I had repaired a few things. We had a few leaks from last year up there. You can see a big gob of whatever that stuff's called, lapping compound, lap sealant, not lapping compound, that's for engines. Anyway, but yeah, this thing did great. You know, this is now the 3rd time we've taken it out and used it. Did a little bit more inside, got a little bit more together, so it felt a little bit more like home, away from home, I guess. So that's kind of where I'm at. Nothing has happened in the basement since the last video. I will probably be doing some more work on that soon. Usually that's the kind of stuff I do when it's cold outside and I can't work outside. I'll do inside stuff. Julie's probably not going to be happy if I let it go that long. Oh yeah, I gave the 7 and the truck a nice bath before I left on vacation. The other 2 have not gotten any attention. All right, I guess an intelligent person would start with the one that's flat. So I'm going to not do that. I'm going to start with the ones on the front. Yeah, I definitely need some new caps. I think both of them are missing caps. I have been putting grease and everything, but it kind of oozes out. Clipping a washer. Definitely a little worn, but it's not terrible. Probably just leave that be for now. It's kind of weird how this seems to be pretty common on riding mower tires, that they don't pay attention to where the valve stem is. There's a lot of them that are on the inside. Like this is the same tractor. Now I think one of these did come from the other one, because there was like one tire that held air, so I just was being lazy and just kept that one tire. But this one has the valve stem on the inside. This one does not. and vice versa. And I've run into a bunch of them where they put it on the inside. It's like they're just not even paying attention to where they drill the hole or something. I'm not really sure. Maybe there's a reason. This was from. I guess these are actually slightly different wheels, which I didn't notice until just now. But I mean, you'll never notice it when they're on opposite sides. But I guess it is slightly different. I got my favorite Rust-Oleum 2X paint and primer in one, gloss. I keep the black on hand just to touch up anything black on a riding mower. Don't go too crazy. One can has lasted me basically for the 8 mowers that I had. Any little black metal parts, I will just spritz some nice shiny paint on there. You'd be amazed at how good they look. Once you wipe them down with automatic transmission fluid and touch up the black areas with a little bit of paint, and they look like brand new. As soon as somebody uses them for that one time, whether it's a brand new machine or not, it's going to look like, you know, it's going to be dusty, it's going to be dirty, everything. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. But people like shiny things, and every single person that came and looked at whatever I was selling, they're like, yeah, it looks great, you know. And I mean, I just make sure they run good and everything is functional. And the rest is just someone's like, yeah, it looks nice and clean, nice and shiny, looks good. So I got a dark gray gloss. I basically got the darkest gloss gray that I could find. I don't really want to do black because everybody does black. I want to do something a little bit different. So I just got a dark gray, and we're going to just go ahead and paint these all dark gray, and it's going to be great. So now I got to do my least favorite part, get these things off the beads. I'm going to try to save the inner tubes that are in the good ones. We will at least have a matching front and rear pair. Whenever you're taking these things out, be sure to wear safety glasses, because these little things hitting you in the eye, it's not fun. There. Alright, let's see how hard it is to break the beads. I'm going to just kind of utilize the fact that I have a wall here, and I should be wearing actual shoes. It does sometimes help to put some kind of a lubricant around the perimeter. There we go. All right, so the trick that I have learned, I'm going to take one of these tent stakes because I have it here. You need like a pivot point. So put it like that around the. You can use like a socket extension, like a 3/8 extension, something like that. And wait a second, I got it backwards. Now you put it, you start like that, where it's in the middle, and then you push outward. Ignore the other one, but you can see you work against that like fulcrum or pivot point or whatever you want to call it, and you can get it started. Now I got to break this bead loose too. And these are actually our tire spoons. These are actually for motorcycle tires. I got a set of these off Amazon. I'll see if I can find a link for these. But they do work pretty good for doing small tires like this. And actually, it seems like if you point the spoon down, that's best for having to break the bead. You can't do it by jumping on it, or, you know. If all else fails, I set it up next to my Tundra tire and drive over the side of it, and it'll take it off like that. You know, they're not going to win. They're going to come off one way or another. And I could always just take these to my work and use the actual tire machine bead breaker, but you guys don't have that, so I'm trying to show you how I'm doing it at home. And normally I just always do these at home one way or another. All right, so now this thing has an inner tube in it, I think. Yeah, it does. So we're gonna have to get that out. I was gonna try to save them, but if I can't, I'm not gonna worry about it. They're not that expensive to try to save, but when you're flipping tractors, at least almost every single one is gonna need at least one inner tube. So they would get used again, is what I'm saying. Never actually removed one. There it is. I'm not going to worry about testing it right now to see if it still holds there or not. I don't usually end up taking the rims all the way off, because I normally just get it to this point and stick the new inner tube in there. Stick your pull in there, whatever it is. Spread it out. One jump tire. Clean these things all up, and they're gonna get painted. So I'm gonna take this one off. I won't record that because I already showed one, and then I'll show cleaning and prepping for paint. Both front tires are dismounted. Inner tubes are over here, and I just wanted to compare the old versus the new. They definitely do wear out. These are pretty much the exact same tread pattern, but I don't know if you can see, but there is really nothing left of this one. This is the better of the two, I think. Or no, I know that's not. Yeah, so these tires wear out. They have a lot of shoulder wear. So really a nice upgrade. We got the state road mowers out today. About once every maybe 2 months they come around and cut the first like 6 feet of grass, or just growth along the side of the highway. See them over there. They just have like a mower that sticks down on the side, and friendly tractor driver to the horn at me. Wave. All right, so the rear wheels on a garden tractor, it's kind of like taking them off of a car, because you've got 5, I believe they're bolts. They're not lug nuts, they're lug bolts. They are 5/8. Just realized I didn't know the tractors had horns, but I guess if they're street legal, I think when they have all those flashing lights and everything, they're technically street legal. They need to have a horn, right? All right, 16 should work for these. And if you don't have an impact, you can just loosen them with the tractor on the ground. Otherwise, well, you can just put the, yeah, you'd have to have it on the ground, because otherwise this is going to want to spin, even with the brake on, because it's on right now. Because the differential can still turn. Alright, this one still has air in it. I'm literally doing the one that I need to do the most, but last. But it doesn't really matter because I'm gonna, they're all gonna be apart and get painted and everything else. You can't always tell when you have an inner tube in a tire because usually the valve stem is gonna be a little crooked. See how much of a pain these wanna be. Come on. There you go. So we're gonna just have to kind of slowly pull this up over the rim, I think. That's why, you got 3 of them, so you can kind of leave those 2 in and then come over here. Bring that one up. And at this point, you can start to slide it. There you go. Do this side. Almost out of blaster of PB. Oh, that was easy. Hopefully I can reuse these because, especially this size, they're at least $15 or $20 each, I think. And when I was the first year of installing these things, I had like a 50% success rate. I was popping them pretty easily. I think if I bought a pair, I think, okay, I have an extra one for the next time, and I ended up popping the first one. And there's various different reasons that I would do it. It just, you can watch all the YouTube videos you want, but until you just do it a few times, you're not gonna really know the best way to do it. All right, what can we do here? There you go. Kind of. Just leave one there, something there. That's the pry bar, so you don't all of a sudden slip back on. Just keep working it around. And there you go. 3 down, 1 to go. All right, do the other side, and we'll come back. All right, well, I see why the tire went flat. It was not the inner tube's fault. It was a giant nail. Went all the way through. So, it would have happened to the new tire. I've never run over a nail with a lawnmower tire before. So I just assumed that it was just that the thing had failed. But I was wrong. Right over an nail. Alright, so I'm going to use some simple green to clean these. 1-to-1 dilution for heavy duty. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to just kind of pull up a little bit. Well, I can't really do it on those. About a 1-to-1, and we're just going to try to agitate as much of this as we can. Wash down, I'll let them dry. I'm gonna go get in the pool with my wife, and I'll come back to this probably tomorrow. Well, yeah, probably tomorrow. I'm gonna paint these things, and then we'll put them back together. All right, I hit all the back sides with the gray paint. I let them sit out. They get wet today, but they definitely had a good 12 hours before it rained, so I think they'll be fine. Not going crazy with these things, but I am wiping them down with some 91% alcohol before I paint them. paint sticks pretty good. I really haven't had much problem with this paint sticking. But I'm at least going to paint the backside because, you know, it's the right way to do it. Still not a single run anywhere. At this point, I'm just trying to use up this can because there's not enough left to save, really. But just give it as much of a mirror shine as I can. Hopefully, it will stick for a long time and stay like that for a long time. Looking good. That pretty much kills that one. And I think that looks pretty good. It has a nice, like, deep luster. I guess we'll have to see how that looks once it's dry. But I'm probably gonna let these things sit up for at least a full 24 hours before I try to do anything else. Let's see. Dries to touch in 20 minutes, to handle in 1 hour, and fully dry in 24 hours. Okay. So in 24 hours. If it's on plastic, they're saying 5 to 7 days, but this is metal, obviously. So tomorrow evening should be good. So we'll let them set up until then. All right, guys. It's been about 24 hours. The paint is dry. We've got valve stems, and this is a valve stem tool. Should be able to find this on Amazon if you need it. You can also just use pliers or something, you know, carefully used pliers. You can spray, you know, I'm just going to use silicone spray for these tires. That's all I have at home. You know, there's tire bead sealer and just, you know, like a tire lubricant that we use at the shop, but we also sometimes just use silicone spray and it seems to work just fine. But the way these work, you just screw it on to the valve stem, and these are just automotive valve stems. There might be a different one for tractor tires, I'm not sure, but I've used these before and it works just fine. You just thread on a little bit and then pull it through, just like that. All right, I'm gonna start with the bigger one. Don't think it matters which way it goes in or which way it goes out. It's not like they have DOT numbers on them or anything. It's like normally with car tires, one side will have a DOT, like a date code. So I always try to put that on the outside. It doesn't seem like many shops do care about that, but I do, and it's the way you should do it if it doesn't have an inside and outside. But anyway, for these, I don't think there's any real reason to do one way over the other. But I'm just gonna spray some silicone spray. Kind of have to use your knees a little bit. it's on. Now I just have to see if the bead is going to want to seal. I'm going to try leaving the cores in for right now. Don't think so. All right, let me turn you off for a second. I'm going to take the valve core out and let the compressor fill all the way up. All right, I went ahead and pop the other one on while we're letting it fill up. There. I don't want to fill them up too much, but we gotta get the beads to seat. These are only supposed to be at the 12 psi max. I may have just gone over that, so that's why you want to be careful. You don't want to just go crazy when you're seeing the beads. We'll just hit it again. I might spray some more. Silicone there. Let's see if we can try this one. Seems like it works better when it's not sitting on the rim. I think that kind of presses up on the bottom side of it. Yeah. That definitely is the trick. Alright, that one went a long way. I mean, it's a brand new tire, so I don't think it's gonna like crack or anything unless you go too crazy. But all right, that's perfect. I think actually you really want 10 in the rear. Normally it says max 12, but I think actually 10. So that's actually 11. That's 11. It's close enough. I'm not gonna split hairs over a pound. What I might do is push this back off a little bit. Let's see if it'll go on this time. There it goes. Ideally you have this ready to go so you can just stick it right in, but that's fine. Alright, now for these front ones, which are probably going to be a little more of a challenge. When I'm spraying these, I'm kind of spraying the outside and then I spray on the inside lip of the other side. And I flip it over and do the same thing. Alright guys, it's been a few days since since the last part of the video where I got the rear tires installed, and I started trying to install the front tires, and my brain wasn't working evidently. I tried to do it without going on YouTube, And I kind of did, but eventually I pulled up a video and I realized, you know, I was trying to put the tire on top of the rim, which didn't work. So what you want to do, let me just go ahead and, I just did that one like super easily. Re-lube the tire. I'm not sure which one I tried the other day. But you want to take the tire, put it on the ground, put the rim in the tire. And I would say put it so that you're going to be mounting the backside of the rim less. So I guess right now I'm going to put it so the finished side that's going to be facing out is up. And then just feed this into the tire. Like that. It's so easy. Now, you turn it over, and you got the backside that's, you know, you're not going to care as much about the paint getting messed up. I mean, most people probably wouldn't even paint the back of their rim. And now, you're going to take your knees, or your hands, whatever you want to do, get this side started, and then just take your tools, whatever you're using, screwdrivers, pry bars, and start working it around. Get your knees up there to hold it. When you get it closer to the top, you can do a little more of it. Get like a bigger chunk of it over. And there you go. Now, in a perfect world, these things would just air right up, and they probably will not. We're gonna give it a try. My compressor has about 60 psi. I don't have it turned on so it's not so noisy. Let's see if we get any kind of wind. Wow, that was super lucky. I didn't expect that to happen. All right, I'll check the air pressure on that in a minute, but that was way too easy. Let's see if this one does that. Wow. All right, so I got lucky with these. If this doesn't work for you and you just have the air just blowing out of the side where it's just not seating the bead, get a ratchet strap, like you would tie something down in your truck or whatever, and just run it around the perimeter of the tire, and then crank it down so you're pushing the inner part of the tire in, and that therefore pushes the sidewall out. That's hopefully will be all that you need to do. There's more dangerous ways you can seat a bead. You do this at your own risk, but you can spray some brake cleaner around the perimeter, leave yourself a little trail and light it, and the whole thing will, the air will expand really fast. Do that at your own risk. I have done that before. I mean, we've had to do that in the shop before because we just had tires that were just so flattened out from being stacked up that they just were like 3 or 4 inches away from the bead. But anyway, that's that. I'll go ahead and get these, let's check the air pressure in them real quick. The front tire should be about 12 psi. Now they're about 15. I'm gonna get the air pressure set on these to 12 psi. The rear is gonna be at 10, and then we'll come back when it's all together. Yeah, definitely needs some new bushings on the other side. This one's pretty good. Not much play in that one, but that's for another time. And I'm gonna re-grease both of the front with the clips right here. Yeah, I need new caps, and I need new bushing, I guess, on the other side. Probably both. Leave it up on the jack so you can actually like get to the grease fitting easily. May have got a little bit of paint on that. Of course, that's the good one too. Yeah, push a little bit. Alright, you're pushing some old grease out. Get on with my new paint. Definitely need some caps, but we'll let it go for now. Alright, boys and girls. That's one good looking tractor now. Look at that. Those wheels and tires make so much of a difference on that thing. And of course the fact that I actually like, you know, polish the whole body on it. I'm not sure if I actually showed that or not, but yeah, that got polished. I polished the hood last year. It definitely looks bad next to the rest of it. It probably needs to go a little deeper. That's going to be a job for another day. Of course, I got water in the seat. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I appreciate y'all watching. If you like the video, please subscribe, hit the like button. I really would appreciate that. We're coming up close to 500 subscribers as the time of this video. Let me know what you guys want to see. You know, I did a lot of mower flips this year. I didn't film much of it because I didn't want to get too redundant, but if you guys like seeing that, I can do that. This is my own personal machine here, one of the two tractors that I use to mow my property, and I kind of got this thing running last year just on the cheap, try to just do as little as possible.